My name is Brenda Spangler, and I am a student in educating exceptional students. This is for my professor, Nan Perrin. The disability I chose was emotional and behavior disorder. There are a couple different descriptions for emotional and behavior disorder. There's one from IDEA 04, and there's another one that I will talk about later. The IDEA 04 description has the description that emotional disturbance means a condition exhibiting one or more of the following characteristics over a long period of time, and to a marked degree that adversely affects a child's educational performance. The emotional disabilities characteristics have a few that I will talk to you about. One of the characteristics is an inability to learn that cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors. An inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers or educators. And inappropriate types of behavior of feelings under normal circumstances. A general pervasive mood of unhappiness or depression. A tendency to develop physical symptoms or fears associated with peer interaction or school problems. Emotional disturbance includes schizophrenia. The term does not apply to children who are socially maladjusted unless it is determined that they have an emotional disturbance. And this is from Taylor and Smiley, exceptional students. So that's out of our textbook. Examples of emotional disabilities from IDEA 04 include the following: depression, bipolar disorder, anxiety disorder such as a school phobia or maybe OCD, eating disorders like anorexia or bulimia, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which would be an example of physical or sexual abuse. Examples of emotional disabilities from IDEA 04 continued. Okay, another one we have is borderline personality disorder. There's conduct disorder. There's also oppositional defiant disorder, but it's not drug or alcohol abuse. And this is from an IDEA PDF that I found online. Controversy of the IDEA 04 definitions. Many people don't agree with the definitions that the IDEA has put out there, especially in the educational field and the Mental Health Association. So these are some of the controversies that this disability, or this definition of the disability from IDEA 04, these are some of the, what they say that's a controversy. Vague and internally inconsistent. Nebulous, often illogical and self-contradictory. Vague and incomplete. Omission of any mention of negative behaviors such as aggression, disruption, or acting out. And the requirement that the disorder adversely affect educational performance. This again is from my Exceptional Students Handbook textbook. The different definition comes from the National Mental Health and Special Education Coalition. This coalition, National Mental Health and Special Education Coalition definition came about because they didn't like the definition that IDEA 04 came about with. So this definition was proposed by a task force appointed by the National Mental Health and Special Education Coalition, which represented 30 professional and advocacy organizations. Fornes and Nitzer propose that a new term, emotional or behavior disorder, EBD, replace the term serious emotional disturbance that was used by the IDEA 04. They didn't like it, so they proposed a different one. And that's basically what is accepted in education today, is this definition. The following is a definition of emotional disturbance proposed by the National Mental Health and Special Education Coalition, the NMHSEC. The term emotional or behavior disorder means a disability characterized by behavioral or emotional responses in school so different from appropriate age, cultural, or ethnic norms that they adversely affect educational performance. Educational performance includes academic, social performance, vocational performance, and personal skills, getting along with other people. Such a disability, this is a continuing of this definition, A, is more than a temporary expected response to stressful events in the environment. So it has to be more than just one stressful event. B, is consistently exhibited in 2 different settings, at least one of which is school-related. And, finally, C, is unresponsive to direct intervention. In general, education or the children's condition is such that the general education interventions would be insufficient. Emotional and behavioral disorders can coexist with other disabilities as well. Children's Mental Health Disorder Fact Sheet for the classroom for oppositional deviant disorder, ODD, has many symptoms and behaviors. These I got from the KSDE.org, Kansas Safe Schools Center. And some of these are, the next 2, I just did 2 of these, the ODD and OCD, that to show some of the fact sheets that you have to show or will help you to help these children in the classroom. Some of the symptoms of behavior are sudden, unprovoked anger, arguing with adults, defiance, or refusal to comply with adults' rules or requests, deliberately annoying others, blaming others for their misbehaviors, being resentful and angry. Again, that's from the KSDE.org. About the ODD disorder. Students with ODD seem angry much of the time. They are quick to blame others for mistakes and act in negative, hostile, and vindictive ways. All students exhibit these behaviors at times, but in those with ODD, it's a little bit different. These behaviors occur more frequently than is typical in individuals of comparable age and level of development. Students with ODD generally have poor peer relationships. They often display behaviors that alienate them from their peers. In addition, these students may have an unusual response to positive reinforcement or feedback, so they don't even like the positive stuff. For instance, when they are given some type of praise, they may respond by destroying or sabotaging the project which they were given praise for, or given recognition for. Some students develop ODD as a result of stress or frustration from maybe divorce, death, loss of family, or family disharmony. ODD may also be a way of dealing with depression, or the result of inconsistent rule or behavior standards. If not recognized and corrected early, oppositional and deviant behaviors can become ingrained. Other mental health disorders may, when untreated, lead to ODD. For example, a student with ADHD may exhibit signs of ODD due to the experience of constant failure at home or in school. and some instructional strategies and classroom accommodations for ODD. Whoops. Come on. All right. Remember that students with ODD tend to create power struggles. Try to avoid these verbal exchanges. State your position clearly and concisely. Choose your battles wisely. That one's very important. Give two choices when decisions are needed. State them briefly and clearly. Establish clear classroom rules. Be clear about what is non-negotiable, so there is no doubt. Post the daily schedule so the kids know what to expect. And praise students when they respond positively. Avoid comments or bringing up situations that may be a source of argument for them. Make sure academic work is appropriate. When work is too hard, kids become frustrated. When it's too easy, they become bored. Both reactions lead to classroom problems. Pace your instruction. When students with ODD have completed a designated amount of non-deferred activity, reinforce their cooperation by allowing them to do something they prefer or find enjoyable or less difficult. Maybe some computer time, maybe a free choice time, iPad games, different things like that. Maybe they like to draw, whatever they want to do for a short amount of time. Allow a sharp demarcation to occur between academic periods, but hold transition times between periods to a minimum. Systematically teach social skills, including anger management, conflict resolution strategies, and how to be assertive in an appropriate manner. When kids know what to expect, like when time periods end and another time period begins, that's when they realize, when they can see that there's an end in sight and they know what's coming up next. There's no surprises, and that really helps. Discuss strategies that students may use to calm themselves when they feel anger escalating. Provide consistent structure and clear consequences. Again, this is from the Kansas Safe School Center. Children's mental health disorder fact sheets for the classroom. Now, this is for conduct disorder. Symptoms or behaviors. Bullying or threatening classmates and others. Poor attendance record or chronic truancy. History of frequent suspension. Little empathy for others and lack of appropriate feelings of guilt or remorse. Low self-esteem masked by bravado. Lying to peers or their teachers, possibly their parents. Stealing from peers at school. Frequent physical fights and use of a weapon. Destruction of property. Conduct disorder. About this disorder. Students with or youth with conduct disorder are highly visible, demonstrating a complicated group of behavioral and emotional problems. Serious, repetitive, and persistent misbehavior is the essential feature. These fall into four main groups. 1, aggressive behavior toward people or animals. 2, destruction of property. 3, destruction or deceitfulness or theft. And 4, serious violations of rules. To receive a diagnosis, the youth must have displayed 3 or more characteristics, behaviors in the past 12 months. At least one must have been evident during the part 6 months. Diagnosis can be a dilemma because youth are constantly changing. Many children with CD also have learning disabilities, and about 1/3 are depressed. Many stop exhibiting the behavior problems when they're treated for depression. So that is something to really think about. USDHHS estimate between 6 and 16% of males and 2 to 9% of females under 18 have CD. That ranges in the severity from mild to severe. Other disorders associated with CD are ADHD, and oppositional defiant disorder, which we already talked about. The majority of the youth with CD have lifelong patterns of antisocial behavior and are at higher risk for mood or anxiety disorder. But for many, the disorder may subside in later adulthood. Social context, poverty, high crime may influence what we view as antisocial behavior. In these cases, CD may be misapplied to these individuals whose behaviors may be protective or exist within a cultural context. A child with suspected CD needs to be referred for assessment. If symptoms are mild, the child may receive services and remain in the school environment, which is what we all want. More seriously troubled youth, however, may need specialized educational environments, and there are certain schools and places in schools that can help them. Instructional strategies and classroom accommodations for this. Make sure curriculum is at appropriate level. And again, this kind of coincides with what we learned earlier about ODD. Frustration sets in easily if too hard, boredom if it is too easy. Both will lead to problems in the classroom. Avoid infantile materials to teach basic skills. Materials should be age appropriate, positive, and relevant to the problems in the classroom. Consider using technology. Computers with active programs tend to work well with CD. Students with CD tend to work well in programs that allow them to work outside of the school setting. Be aware that adults can unconsciously form and behaviorally express negative impressions of low-performing, uncooperative students. Try to monitor your own impressions. Keep them neutral if possible. Communicate a positive regard for the students and give them the benefit of the doubt whenever possible. Youth with CD like to argue. Maintain calm, respect, and detachment. Avoid power struggles and arguments. Causes of emotional and behavioral disorders. This is coming from Exceptional Students, page 182. The environmental causes could be exposure to violence on TV, parental discord, inconsistent or extreme punishment, and there could also be genetic factors, or maybe a combination of both genetic factors and environmental causes. We're not really sure on some of it. So some of the classroom aids we can use, and I'm going to be showing you some of these after this last slide, are sensory items. They like that feel of things helps calm them and control them. Deep pressure, weights, weighted blankets, quiet centers, places where they can relax. Technology is always good. Computer games, iPad, things like that. Schedules. We all have schedules in our lives, and it's no different for the students. They want to know what's coming next. They want to know that an activity is ending, and by doing that, they might be able to keep their control. Frustration bottles, moon sand, Play-Doh, sensory inventories that the teachers can use to know what will help. So that is the end of that slideshow, but I am going to show you now some of the things we could use. One of these is right here, and it is called moon sand. It's basically flour mixed with baby oil, and you can hide things in it that they can look for, and they can push on it and put pressure on it, and that helps relieve some of the distress for those with emotional and behavior disorders. Another one that we have here is rice, and it is colored with just food coloring, and sometimes they hide cars in it, and the feeling of it going through their hands is very calming to them. Going through where they can watch it go through a funnel is an activity that some of the kids enjoy, but it's just that choice time and a sensory, the feel of things. Another place we have over here, if you come over here, this is a bathtub that is really good that they can sit in, And this here is a weighted blanket, and they can lay in there with the weights on them, and that pressure helps to calm some students down. Scarves, the silky feel of scarves is something that is really helpful in the sensory department. Oh, I don't know if this will go on. This is a pillow that vibrates when there's pressure against it, and that also is something that is very beneficial to students. If you come over here and you look over here, this is an example of a schedule. The students know when everything is. When they're done, they can take it off, and that is out of the way. Once they're done with the next one, they know at 8 of 5, this is when this task will end. They can take it off. And that feeling of taking this off, ripping it off of there is very satisfactory, and it lets them know this is what's happening, this is what I can expect. And it also helps the teacher so that they know what may be causing them the behavior issues. Another one is, this is another task analysis that we use. It's another type of schedule. These are things they need to do, these are things that are done. And they like for instance, there's 3 in here, and they have a choice. Here's math problems, 1 to 5, or spelling page, or maybe handwriting. They can choose which one they want to do first. Say they select handwriting. So they select the handwriting, it's their choice. They do the handwriting, and when it's done, they can physically see that that is out of their way, and they no longer have to do that. There's some more. Again, we have weights. Weights that can go on their legs, weights that they can just lift, like weights that they can sit on themselves. These are the frustration bottles I was talking about. Now, they can also, these have like glitter in them, and we make them for the students. If you add some hair gel so it's a little thicker to them, they can also be used for a timeout. Say a student needs a timeout, you go and put a little hair gel in this so it'll go slower. And when they turn it over, when all the glitter falls to the bottom, because it'll go quite a bit slower, that's when their timeout is over. This is like a rain stick, and just shaking it and having it go down and over, and the sound is very calming. A behavioral sheet that helps them. When words aren't working, they can use these. Am I confused? Am I sad? Am I tired? When words don't work, they can point at one of these, and that will help us know how they're feeling. Another schedule is a picture schedule, and this was done by one of the projects that we had online. This is in the morning. Here we have reading, handwriting, orchestra, maybe social studies, music is a special. Then they know dinner's coming. It's just another way that students can keep track of what they have to do and know what's coming next. Some of the ways, we have stop signs. Some of the ways to help keep kids on track is a stop sign. Here is one where green, this is great, this is where we want to be. Oh, we've had a little bit worse of a day, we go to yellow. And we know that the next step, if it gets moved, we're calling home, and the parents are going to have to come and get them. So this is a way for them to monitor how they're doing through the day. Another stop sign we have is this one here. We have 4 green lights and a red light. And sometimes their students, you know, the more they're adapting their behavior and getting along, the less green lights we'll have. But if they get 1 off, we're still okay. 2 off, you know, it's not so well, but we're still okay. 3 off, it's not so good. 4 off, it's getting bad. And if the 4th one comes off, this is usually done with a choice. They might get to come down and do a special activity at the end of the day or at the middle of the day. But if that 4th one comes off, they no longer have that choice. But it gives them this many times to get their act together or be able to understand, I have to control my behavior. Some other things that are sensory that students like to use are the squeezy bottles, guys, the funny, weird feeling eyeball balls, just something to squeeze. This one vibrates, and that's a good sensory item. A hairbrush, just the feeling of that. And these do have a calming effect on students when they're having trouble. This is a chart that they can say, okay, you're talking to them about maybe something that happens at recess or whatever. They can say, well, this doesn't bother me. Somebody pushes me in line. Okay, this can really upset me. Somebody calls me a name. This could make me lose control. This is a chart that they can look at and go, okay, this helps me explain how I'm feeling or what causes me behaviors. And we have, for the teacher, there's tracking behavior every 30 minutes. This is a chart that you can say, antecedent, was he hurt? What was the task? Was it a bad morning? What were the behaviors? Was there yelling, biting, pushing, pinching, or others, kicking and spitting? These are done on 30-minute increments, and that can really help in telling us what is causing a behavior or help the students with emotional behavior disorders. Other great things are timeouts. Sometimes they just say, I need to get away. We also have, let me look here, just stay there. These boards that maybe they want to sit and they don't want to be looked at, we can set something like that up, and that will give them some privacy to just think on their own and go get through the day that way. Well, that is the end of my presentation on emotional and behavior disorders. Thank you. My name is Brenda Spangler.